one very valuable crown has been awarded at Eldora. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elson, and this is Midco Motorsports. Since its inception in 1984, the Kings Royal has always been one of the more lucrative sprint car races in the world. But thanks to Eldora Speedway owner and three-time NASCAR champion Tony Stewart, that event is now in a class all by itself. Stewart sweetened the pot in a big way in 2019, raising the top prize from the traditional $50,000 to $175,000. Saturday, the cash and the opportunity to become sprint car royalty were officially up for grabs. And the highlights are this week's A Feature. To Northwest Ohio, three-time Kings Royal winner Sammy Swindell, driving his son Kevin's number 39, had the pole for the 40-lap main event, sharing the front row with five-time winner Donnie Schatz. And while those two battled for position early on, the guy that grabbed everyone's attention was Logan Schuchart. Schuchart was 12th on the starting grid, but he charged through the field in a hurry. Lap 8, Schuchart best Brad Sweet for third. That was nice, but his biggest move came 3 laps later. Schuchart, a 2-for-1 as he picks off Schatz and Swindell for the lead. Stopping was the last thing Schuchart wanted to do at that point, but he wouldn't have a choice. The open red came with 15 to go, and it proved to be the turning point. Sweet jumped past Schuchart on the restart, and there would be no catching the 49 from there. Brad Sweet leads the final 15 circuits to secure his second Kings Royal crown, and there was no hiding his excitement.
These guys give me a great race car. I drove the wheels off it, that's all I had. I knew Logan was good there. He probably didn't want that caution, but you gotta be up on the wheel all 40 laps. We were 175 grand, hell yeah!
Well, Saturday was the latest chapter in a career year for Sweet, but there's a few things he's still chasing. We'll have more on the current World of Outlaws points leader when we come back.
Midco Motorsports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Casino Speedway.
Well, Saturday pretty well settled it. Brad Sweet is the new top gun on the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. We recently caught up with the driver of the Napa Auto Parts 49 to find out about some of the keys to his rapid rise. Like a fine wine, Brad Sweet has gotten better, or in his words, smarter, with age.
I'm more thoughtful of what I'm doing on the racetrack. I think, used to be less patient, push harder, and burn my tires off, and just do a lot of things that, you look back on and just, they weren't very smart.
Despite that decision-making, Sweet managed to earn 32 career victories over his first 5 years in the World of Outlaws Tour. He got off to a decent start this season, but really found his groove in June. Sweet claimed 5 checkered flags in that month alone, helping him match the career-best win total he set just last year by the halfway point.
With anything that you do in life, I feel like the more reps or the more experience you get out, the better you get. And I think it really holds true to sprint car racing and especially the World of Outlaw Tour. It's a grueling 90-race schedule, a lot of ups and downs. And I just feel like, the longer I'm out here, the better I kind of get at adapting to all the different racetracks and knowing what I want in my race car. And just make smarter decisions and, just kind of figured out a few things, ways to kind of, be towards the front most nights.
That consistency has put him in a great spot. After finishing second fiddle to Donnie Schatz in each of the past 2 years, Sweet appears poised to complete the proverbial pass in 2019. Ironically, he says a fair amount of the credit for that actually goes to the guy he's been chasing.
Donnie's obviously been the class of the field for, ever since I've been out here, and I think just racing against him night in and night out, just pushing me to be a better race car driver and watching things that he's been able to accomplish. Obviously you want to be the best, so to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's what we're trying to do.
Sweet entered the annual Month of Money with a comfortable lead in the standings. But if there's one thing he knows, it's that complacency has no place in his run toward a first career World of Outlaws championship.
You want to put your name on those trophies, those championship trophies, those big race trophies. It's why we do it, and you only get so many years to do it. And, I got a great opportunity here, and I just want to go out and capitalize and, make Napa Auto Parts proud, make my car owner Casey Kane proud, and make myself proud. I don't want to, regret anything when I'm done, racing. I want to have accomplished everything I set out to do. I think the minute you get chasing the points, I think that you won't win as many races, and then you'll open the door for someone else to capitalize. So we just want to keep winning and keep contending for all the big wins throughout the years, and I think the points will take care of themselves.
Now, Sweet, of course, is also hoping to etch his name on the Knoxville Nationals trophy in a couple of weeks. A win there would make him just the 8th driver to claim that title in back-to-back seasons. Well, River Cities honored some of its all-time greats on Friday. We'll reveal the RCS Hall of Fame class of 2019 after this. And welcome back. No racetrack survives as long as a place like River Cities Speedway without dedicated people behind the scenes. Friday, 3 such folks became the latest inductees to the RCS Hall of Fame. And here they are. Lon Kasager has been involved with the track for about 25 years, but is best known for serving as the RCS competition director, which he's done since 1999. Jeff Liebrick is a former car owner and one of the original members of the Northern Outlaw Sprint Association. And finally, rounding out the class of 2019 is longtime track supporter Wes Rydell. A few potential Hall of Famers would make their own mark on Friday, including Midwest Modified standout Lance Schill. Schill took advantage of a good starting spot and cruised to his 2nd win of the year in Grand Forks. Austin Pierce was looking for a 3rd straight win in the NOSA Sprints, but West Fargo's Ty Hanton was focused on his 1st. The 13T had a great run from the front row, although momentum was choppy to say the least. Lots of restarts, and that played right into Pierce's hands. The 2A made a slow climb from 7th before finally catching Hanton with 5 to go. Austin Pierce does it again. 3 straight wins now at River Cities.
We made a few changes with our shocks. I think that's the main thing, and then once we got that first win, it kind of takes a lot of pressure off you and gets your confidence up there. So now we kind of got a good baseline. We just kind of work off that, and I don't know, it's just been clicking.
A generational clash highlighted the night's Wissota late model feature, and it was a good one. Rookie Ryan Karaluk started on the outside of row 1, and after a brief battle with Ryan Corbett, he would settle in at the front. One guy would stand between Karaluk and his first career win, and that was the veteran Brad Sang. The 12S hounded the 29K, although Karaluk seemed to have the answer for everything Sang threw at him. Sang kept on pushing, though, and that persistence finally paid off on the final lap. Sang slides up and steals the high side, and that would do it. Brad Sang gets his first win of the year in thrilling fashion.
I think I got near him a couple times and might have forced him to overdrive his car just a little bit, but he did a heck of a job, and you know what, I was lucky enough to be near him to kind of capitalize. Very few guys win 15, 16 features a year anymore. You know, it's a talented group around here. I don't even know what to say. You know what, anytime I can get one now, I cherish it.
39 360 sprint cars showed up at Jackson Motorplex for the Midwest Power Series on Friday. Oklahoma City's Wayne Johnson flexed his muscles all night. The 2C into the lead off the start, with Thomas Kennedy settling in behind. Those two still at it with 14 to go, but check out the move by Johnson. Splits the back markers to create a little extra breathing room. T South Dakota's Matt Jewell was making moves as well. He gets by Chris Graff for 3rd, but that would be as close as he would get to the front. Johnson completes the trifecta, winning his heat, the dash, and the feature at Jackson. The NLRA late models made their way to Jamestown on Saturday. Highlights and post-race reactions from the Buffalo City Showdown coming up next. While Jamestown Speedway has been a regular stop for the Northern Late Model Racing Association over the years, only a handful of active drivers have actually won there. Defending series champ Dustin Strand was the most recent to do it as he tied rival Brad Singh by notching his third career tour victory in 2018. Both guys look to break that tie Saturday in the Buffalo City Showdown. Pick things up with the semi-pro legends. No driver's been more consistent in that class this year than Donovan Weist. The Wishick, North Dakota native posted 5 top 5 finishes in his first 6 starts at the track, although none of those was a win. Weist would put an end to that pursuit Saturday. He sneaks past Terry Saar just before the caution lights come on, and there would be no looking back. Weist picks up right where he left off on the restart and drives the 19 straight to victory lane. Lots of action at the front of the Street Stocks feature. With 19 to go, Christopher Ritter battling for the top spot with Jerry Lamb, and the 27 ultimately settles it with an inside pass as they come out of turn 4. A caution would bring Lamb back to the pack with 10 to go, and that's where Scott Gardner enters the fray. The Jamestown native spent the next 5 circuits slowly reeling Lamb in. He eventually inches past, then gets a little extra cushion thanks to the 46 of points leader Johnny Carter. Carter gave chase himself after that, but it didn't faze Gardner. He closes it out for his first win of the season. 27 NLRA late models made the start for the night's 25-lap main event, but the top 2 emerged off the start. Mike Balkin grabbed control with Aberdeen's Chad Becker, giving chase in the 12B. Lap 10, Becker makes a bid, but Balkin brushes it off on the backstretch. No quit in that 12B, though. Becker fought back to give himself another solid run late in the race, but the 10 car was just too good. Balkin goes wire to wire for his 26th career NLRA victory, which ties him with the late, great John Seitz for second all-time.
I knew it was going to latch up, a little bit of rubber out there, but I wasn't sure where, middle, bottom, top, and I just was kind of searching for a while. Then I thought the middle was pretty grippy, and then on the yellows I kind of searched around, and there was some in the bottom too, so I was just kind of protecting after that and really trying to save my tires to the end because I knew tire wear was going to be a big deal, but fortunately we held on to the end, and it was a decent night for us. We're really, really happy.
Becker and the Wissota late models also part of the show Sunday at Casino Speedway, which was an AFCO Race of Champions qualifier. Mike Nichols had the pole for the Midwest Modifieds feature, but his stay up front would be over before it actually started. The 67 flagged twice for jumping the green flag, so Nichols forced to switch spots with second-row starter Scott Hansen. And the 31 took full advantage of the opportunity. Things did get a little hairy on the final lap with Dave Carlson making a big push in the 73M, but Hansen able to fend him off just long enough to get his first victory of the season in Watertown. It was a wild night in the late model division. While Chad Olson was busy building an early lead, Chad Becker started to make his way up from 7th. Becker gets by fellow Aberdeen native Kurt Gelling here, then passes DJ Tesh for the silver spot a couple of laps later. After that, he started to focus on Olson, but before he could catch him, someone else took their own shot at the 10C. Watch this. With 10 to go, Olson moves the 63 of Brandon Mosier in turn 4, and Mosier apparently took exception. That was the end of the night for Mosier. Olson, meanwhile, was able to continue, so he kept his number 1 position for the restart, but he could not hold off Becker. The 12B completes the pass with 3 laps remaining and goes on to collect his 4th win at Casino and his 14th overall in 2019. It's been 40 years since this man helped lay the foundation for one of the most high-powered spectator sports in the world. We'll share the legend of Everett Jasmer in USA 1 when Midco Motorsports rolls on.
Midco Motorsports on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Speedway.
$1 billion a year industry that started by accident. That's the current reality in the world of monster trucks, but the beginning of the spectacle has roots in our own backyard. And this week's Inside Track, presented by Dakota Speedway, Greg Enkers shares the story of one of the sport's true pioneers.
Millions of monster truck fans pack arenas and stadiums across the country every year, supporting one of the most popular motorsports industries in the world. But one truck you won't find on the ever-popular Monster Jam circuit is USA 1, one of the originals in the sport, owned and operated by Minnesota's own Everett Jasmer. When he was at the forefront of what we see today, however, the purpose for building these big trucks was not simply for entertainment.
By the late 70s, I started a four-wheel drive parts and service and accessories business where we sold parts, accessories, and custom-built vehicles. So my own daily driver, the 70, had to always have the biggest and the best of everything that I sold in my four-wheel drive business. I call it an evolution. It was never planned. It just happened on a daily basis to promote my four-wheel drive business, and there was never a vision of monster trucks. There was nothing that ever caused us to think about it. We just had to have bigger and better all the time.
It was here 40 years ago this weekend in a swamp on the north side of Pearl Lake, about 7 miles southwest of Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, that may have been the beginning spark to the first rivalry in this yet-to-be-defined motor spectacular. A four-wheel drive club out of Fargo arranged a mud run, and its honorary guest was Bob Chandler of St. Louis, Missouri, the creator of Bigfoot, something Everett Jasmer had to see for himself.
As we got to know each other, he kept ribbing me to come on down there and run through the mud with me. And I said, no, your tires are way bigger. I got 200 miles to drive home. I got to drive this home. I don't have a trailer. Well, you know what happens when guys prod each other. Adrenaline eventually takes over, and by the time it was showtime, he had convinced me to come out there with him. I staged up the truck and I turned on the nitrous, which thankfully I had. I don't think I could have made it without that, because I had been running it in the mud, of course, and nailed it and somehow come out the other side, and I couldn't believe it. I consider it one of the important landmarks in the development of the industry.
By the mid-'80s, monster trucks had become a thing, with exhibitions, car crushes, and shows all across the country. But Jasmer knew something was missing.
I always wanted the sport to advance to some form of competition. Didn't really know what, but I wanted competition, because I believed that the exhibition and show could only last so long.
Jasmer got his wish. In 1988, TNT decided to launch a year-long racing series, and the USA 1 truck quickly became the one to beat, something that became a bittersweet moment for Jasmer.
The truck was incredibly fast. It was the fastest thing out there, but after 2 races I discovered that the business had grown so big and there was so much on my mind, I wasn't a good driver anymore. And so my dream came true and ended at the same time almost. And luckily I had a young guy working for me who was a madman behind the wheel, and I turned it over to him, and he proceeded to win almost everything that year and won the first national championship of monster truck racing in 1988.
For the national championship, it's one run, Chevrolet and Ford. Who's it going to be? Litzau nails the Chevrolet. Chevrolet takes the win. Look out! Bob Litzau on his nose, now on his side, and he is down.
Despite the early success, however, a fork in the road loomed for Jasmer and USA 1 as the industry wanted to go in a direction of thrills and spills, something that didn't jive with Jasmer as best for the sport he'd helped create.
I suppose I could look at it with regret. Financially, it wasn't the smartest thing to do, but I know myself well enough to know that I could never have continued to do what the sport became. It just wasn't in me, and I wouldn't have been happy with myself if I had given in and gone a direction I didn't believe in.
Parting from the pack has made it challenging for Jasmer to keep USA 1 relevant in the monster truck community for the past nearly 30 years, but he's finding ways.
That has led me to doing a lot of Christian events. A lot of churches do car shows and stuff for outreach. I've done some national Christian events like Promise Keepers. So between that and military support events and still secular events, car shows, promotions at businesses. That has kind of reinvigorated not only new events for me to do, but also has become a very, very important part of my life that I never would have dreamed of.
As Jasmer knows, dreams don't last forever, and he hopes the tradition of USA 1 will continue to live on as he reflects on how he's impacted the sport from its very beginning.
I don't have any sons to take over this business, so now I gotta find somebody who will carry on this legacy, take the USA 1 business and run with it, because I can't do it forever. So it's kind of left me in a little conundrum these days, but other than that, it's just been a very humbling experience. The fans I can't explain it. They just they love what I've done, and I guess I gotta face it.
And monster truck fans today have to face that the sport they love may not exist in its present state without the influence of the past from Everett Jasmer and USA 1.
How cool is that? The USA 1 name is licensed out to Roger Gauger, who competes on the Full Throttle Monster Truck Tour that runs primarily in Indiana and Kentucky. As for Jasmer, his next local event is scheduled for August 22nd and 23rd at Thrive Fest North in Fargo. All right, that is our time for this week's. Hope to see you back here next Wednesday night for another episode of Midco Motorsports.